Hello, all of you risk takers and truth seekers, and today I'd like to reflect something what happened to me yesterday, happens to all of us on daily basis. It's not just a fear as a fear element alone, it's feeling alone, helpless, and afraid at the same time. And I will combine this into a metaphorical question. Have you ever felt being on intersection alone without umbrella, and it's raining, it's storm, and there is nobody there to help you? Have you ever felt that? In every my episode podcast, this is my personal opinions based on my life experience. So I'm basing this all on my personal experiences and how I see the life, how I felt in life. And I have a quite colorful background. For those who don't know, I was born in communism, living in communism until age 18, and then I went in a war. I stayed 1,800 consecutive combat days, wounded a few times, injured, fractures, list goes on. And almost my entire life I spent on my own. Yesterday I went in a hospital, and when you're young, you don't feel the burdens of the wounds and injuries and everything else. But as older you become aware that you need to fix things from the past. And I'm still echoing. You remember maybe your grandparents or maybe your parents, maybe your cousins who were then much more older than you, that told you, be careful what you're doing right now, because one day when you become older, you're gonna pay the price. One of those things happened to me, and I'm still hearing echoes of words of my grandfather, don't do this, don't do that. But I did it anyway. So yesterday I want to share this with you. Yesterday I went to hospital to fix some of my old wounds. Every couple of years I need to go there, and the doctor says to me, listen, we need to fix this, we need to fix that, we need to take this out, we need to remove this thing. Okay, so I was being scheduled for the hospital and 11:30, and I went in the hospital. It was okay, I know what is ahead of me, literally. But I do remember, still even today, that every surgery it's a risk. It doesn't matter how small or big or short or long it is. And it is a true reality. It is that you can't foresee what's going to happen in surgery. But I went very positive. I was very happy I can joke, I can talk to staff. One of the things I realized in a hospital very early from the onset being admitted, when I asked staff, how was your day? How you feel? Did you eat? Or genuinely ask these questions. The reason why I ask these questions, because I learned in my working life from the age 14, I always to be treated with some type of respect. People ask me, how are you? How was your day? But almost all my life, doesn't matter, I was working in military or in diplomacy, in a corporate world, nobody asked me nothing. So I decided one day I'm going to treat people more respectfully. And you can learn this either at home, or you learn by default that you want to change yourself and you want to treat people in the way you want to be treated. So I asked the staff, how was your day? I was joking, making fun of myself. And the people coming out of surgery, coming into recovery. So I was one of these beds there doing the small notes, for myself. Not the last will, but, just doing some small notes, some ideas before I go, like today's podcast. And then I realized that I'm alone, helpless, and afraid. And I do remember, when I was days in the military, particularly in the war, I learned that without fear there cannot be courage. This is written by Christopher Paolini, author of Aragon. That's what he wrote it. As well, the Eddie Rickenbach, American most decorated Second World War pilot, said, "Courage is doing what you are afraid to do. There cannot be courage unless you are scared." And I was afraid a little bit. That's the reason why I was joking. I was, showing the external signs of happiness, but actually I was a little bit afraid. I was alone, I was helpless, I was afraid, which reminds me of my very first day in the war. But this is the most crucial part of this conversation with all of you guys. When you feel alone, helpless and afraid, suddenly there is no social media. There is no mobile phones. Nobody follows you. Nobody cares where you are. Nobody cares what you do. You know what I mean? King is dead. Long live the king. You know, always go with that attitude. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter what's happened to me. I only want to my son be looked after. But the thing is, I was in sharing that admission part of the private surgery with a couple of influencers, literally influencers, some of them, the very famous female influencers. They were doing some plastic reconstructive surgery, some of them they changed some things, and list goes on. But one thing we all share in common, being alone. You know, even if it's a full room of the staff, they give you the warm blankets, they give you the drinks and whatever. I couldn't have the drink, they could. After the surgery, I was so hungry and thirsty. I was so angry because I couldn't eat last 2 days properly because of preparation for the surgery. You know, they want you to have empty stomach. So I was observing people there. And then something hit me so strong. When you're alone, you feel helpless and you're afraid. And days when I spent in a war, I was more days afraid than being courageous and brave. But I learned how to control fear, how to work with fear, how to make fear my ally, not my enemy. And that's something what most of people don't understand. There's a power of accepting fear, and nobody can teach you how to manage the fear. You need to learn this on your own. In military, there's no lessons how to manage the fear. Repetition is the mother of all victories. We repeat it so we can be automated. And when you're repeating something over and over again, you have no fear that you're going to utilize and apply the knowledge, experience you learn in theory when it comes time for practical experience, which is a war, which is a combat. So maybe my battlefield changed from combat between the kinetical fight, you know, between the enemy soldiers and tanks and airplanes and list goes on, for my battlefield. And that's all of the experiencing. It's your battlefield. You're going to feel alone, you're going to feel helpless, and you're going to be afraid. And nobody can teach you how to manage the fear. You need to learn this on your own, or maybe observing something else. I can share with you my list, how I go in my head, tick, 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 tick list, you know, what can be possible wrong, what cannot be wrong, and pre-mortem analysis, post-mortem analysis. But then when I spoke to this guy who was as well some type of the big corporate face, he was afraid. He was genuinely afraid. And I said to him, "Are you afraid?" He said, "Oh, I'm praying to God." I said to him, I asked him a question. "Are you praying God now, or are you praying usually God?" He said, no, I need now because I want to get out of this, you know, unharmed, you know, I want to come out, you know, healthier, this and that. So we are all product of all actions. We are all product of our thoughts, of our ideas. You know, whatever we do, whatever we put out there, whatever we actioning, that's gonna be result. We are product of our choices. After all, I said to him, I pray to God, you know, almost every day, and you know, I was grateful for things I have, and most importantly, health. You know, that health is a most valuable commodity in life. When you're healthy, you can do whatever you want. But the point it is very simple. I asked him, "Why are you praying right now? Why didn't you pray before?" You know what I mean? Because why? Because, you know, you go in corporation, in your building, and you're the big CEO. He said, yes. I said, like, and then you feel invincible. But we are all fragile human beings. We are all make it almost equally same. We have the bones and blood and tissues and muscles and nerves, and, you know, list goes on. We are not different from each other. But now you are afraid. So I said to him, okay, look, before I talk to you even more, why are you praying now? He said, I'm utterly afraid. I have bad feeling. I said, like, we see, that's wrong. That's number one. Why say you it's wrong? It's nothing happened. Nothing happened yet. So my question was, for everybody in my head, particularly on social media, everybody portray themselves the big and strong and fearless and, you know, alpha males particularly. Alpha males, I love those alpha males. You know, I love the guys who talk to me, how strong they are, how invincible they are, how unbreakable they are. We are all breakable. Trust me, I have 14 fractures and I earned them mostly in a war. And I was in excruciating pain most of my life, you know, I mean, either because of the trainings, because of the war, because of the, you know, caused pain for several reasons. But thing is, why are you praying to God now? First of all, God hear you praying or not praying. Secondly, you being afraid, not be afraid, outcome is going to be because you have no control over doctor's actions and what's going to do to you. But I know what the people are afraid, what doctor's going to say at the end, and that was the most important thing. I ask deep inside of myself, why don't people put the money where the mouth is? Because if you portray yourself big and invincible, alpha male, killer, whatever you want to call yourself, the social media influencer, why are you afraid now? Why are you afraid now? Why don't you portray yourself? Why don't you take the camera and say, I'm afraid? Because it's going against the brain, against the image. And again, say this, the power of accepting fear, it's the greatest thing you can make it. One of the greatest mistakes people do, it's waiting to fear disappear before actioning. Fear, it's present. It's here with us. It's our survival mechanism. And it's normal, but you need to know how to manage this, because after all, your fear, it's translating into everything what you do in your life. And it's passing from you to your family, to your friends, and everybody else. It's okay to be afraid. So once when we finish the surgeries, sort of like we all come together in a recovery room, and I was so hungry, just want to eat all these cookies and sandwiches and everything else. It's not like I got like the big supper, it's a hospital, I just get the normal food. And I said to myself, I'm grateful that I was being afraid in my life. I was grateful that my parents dumped me when the war started. I'm grateful that many people told me that I'm covered because I was afraid of many things. But turns out that I managed fear much more better than most of the people, because I managed fear when the danger for my life was real, when the things didn't go very well, when I had nobody to protect me. So I learned how to manage fear. But secondly, being alone, I saw these people are taking the mobile phones and try to call the loved ones to pick them up. And most of these people in the room, they couldn't reach the loved ones. Even nurse, she comes, she says, like, I try to call your fiance, your boyfriend, your wife, they're not picking up the phone. And I feel myself like all this fame and glory, all this portraying, big and masculine and tough and rough and successful means nothing. Now you're alone, you're afraid, and you feel helpless. You're on an intersection, it's raining, it's storm, you have no umbrella. And most importantly, nobody hear your scream. And look, I talked to these guys and tried to cheer them up, and unfortunately for some of them, the doctor comes out and they requested to see them next week because they found some things, during the surgery. And but I told people that's normal. We all experience in life something, and the most important part is it's okay to be afraid. Guys, nobody will teach you how to manage the fear. Nobody will teach you how to, live your life. It's only you. And, people talk about God like it's an ultimate solution for all your problems. We all know how to ask for things when we need, but how about sometimes we say thank you for things we have already now? I learned late in my life, and trust me, I was being selfish in my life, and today I'm sitting here in my studio trying to share this with you guys. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to feel helpless. It's a lesson you need to learn, and that nobody can teach you. There's no guru, there's no coach who can teach you that thing. And I say this again and again over. I saw this in the war. I saw people afraid. I saw people being genuinely in a deep shit down, because there was nobody for them to hold a hand. But I remember my first day in the war, I was so much afraid. I hugged the teddy bear that night. The following day, when I come back into my city after the operations, after combat, people ask me, how was your first night in the war? I said, oh my God, I was a bigger hero than Rambo. I lied because that was my mechanism to comfort myself. But then I need to learn later on to control and manage my fear. Guys, it's okay to feel alone. It's okay to feel helpless. It's okay to be afraid. And don't expect someone's going to ask you, are you okay? Nobody will care except the loved ones. And yesterday, again, I confirmed this You can be successful, you can be rich, you can be whatever you want. But the moment when the nurse pick up the phone and call your loved ones to pick you up and they are not available there for the nurse or for you, that's you need to ask yourself. Relationship with the people around you, who you are surrounding yourself with. So guys, again, courage is doing what you are afraid to do. There can be no courage unless you are scared. And I was scared yesterday as well. Today, I'm telling this to you guys. It's okay to be scared. Thank you for watching Life the Battlefield, and see you soon.